Hold on this computer. Okay, so the last part we did was the advanced encryption standard, which has the encrypted word and also the decrypting key. So under the advanced, we also have the, so that was actually this, that was already done. We have already done. We can kind of call it the public key and the secret key, the secret key. Then so that one is okay. So you can also encrypt an object, like you have two different things. So you can encrypt an object. So the first part was encrypting just encrypting a string of text. But you can still, with this one, you can be able to encrypt an object. So we're gonna do 3. Encrypting an object. And when encrypting an object, you kind of so you know that an object has to be in an array. It has to be in an array, and an array starts with a 0, with a 0. So we're gonna do const object, and then inside the object, so we're gonna make it a JSON object, like some. So an array has the square braces, and then a JSON has the curly braces of the, yeah. So and then we're gonna have like an ID, which will actually look something like this. So this is ID 1, the first object, that is my name. And then this is the second part, that is the, let me just add my second name. So my somebody called me Mudambi. So yeah, so that is our object. So this one is how data can be represented in a database, or this is how data is represented in a database. So we have the ID, which is kind of the primary key, and then we have the second one, ID 2. So this the name. This another person who has the ID 2. So this the object now we're gonna be encrypting. So then we can do const object, just like that. So object encryption, and then we're gonna call the library crypto.js.aes. So remember, crypto.js has a lot of other functions in the library. That is the S secure hash 1, and then we're gonna have the function or the method encrypt. So then we are turning it into a JSON and stringifying the object into a string, because remember that our encryption, our encrypting method or encryption takes in a string. It doesn't take numbers. Remember the case of this Caesar cipher. It doesn't encrypt numbers. So for it to encrypt numbers, you must have to stringify the object. You must convert it into a string. So this part is you are converting it into a string. So then this one, because it's a JSON array, you need to use the word or the keyword JSON to convert the object into a string. And then now we are using the same key we had here, or the kind of the private key that we had from the previous encryption. And then it has to be all of it has to be converted into a string. So the entire thing has to be turned into a string. So this object can actually represent the entire data that is in the blockchain, this object. So you can imagine having a chunk of data from the database. Let's say you have the user file, you have the user model, you have the customers model, everything. So this object is what is representing that data. So we have converted it into an object, and we have stringified it into, we have converted it into a string, and then the entire thing into a string, just to be more safe. So then after converting into a string, the JSON object into a string, we can now move on to console log our object. So remember, console log, you are just outputting the results, whether it was actually converted or it was changed into a string or something. You just want to confirm that this function is working correctly. So the other part is decrypting an object. Once we have been able to do that, so the good thing about Git Copilot is that it helps you to do all this lighting without having to write a lot of code. So the same thing for decrypting. So here we don't have a lot of things we are doing. We are only doing the decryption only, and we are not adding anything fancy. So we are decrypting the object, this part. So we are decrypting the object that we have encrypted, and then down here we will just console log. So we'll just console log the object into UFT8. So let me show you. So UFT8, it's a lot of a number of characters. So the first one, 28 UTF-8 characters, precisely match the first 128 ACII character. So that is the number from 0 to 127, and yeah. So that is what it means, and it's a way of adding more characters. So we have the base 8, base 2, up to octo. We have octo and all the other types of character. So you can actually be able to see what it represents, different what it represent for different characters. So yeah. So 7, 11, 16, 21, 26, and such. So this is the number of characters, the UTF-8, and they are bits in standard. Yeah. So that's what it means. So we have 32, 16, 8, 32, 16, 16. Yeah. So you can get to learn more about the UTF-8. So that's what we have done for this part. So we have encrypted an object, and now we want to see whether it's working. Yeah, so I'm gonna comment these lines, the last lines we did for the previous classes. I'm gonna comment them. And then just gonna change my terminal, because I like using Git as the default. So there, then I'm gonna do and and we should now be able to see the decrypted ones. So yeah, so as you can see, since our object is it's a little bit big, so this one, if you give somebody this one, they won't be able to know what it represents. They won't be able to know what it represents. But you can see we are given back our original object. Now these are good way of encrypting your data. These are good way of encrypting your data. So if you have a chunk of data and then you give somebody this this string, they won't be able to know. So if you are transferring data across networks and you don't want people to know what you don't want malicious actors on the internet to be able to know what you're dealing with, you can be able to encrypt it this way. So this kind of encryption is really awesome because the hackers have to have the key. They must have they don't have to have if they don't have the key, they won't be able to know what you have been able to pass. Yeah. So it even gets more interesting when you start using the hash function, because now hash function, the length of the data is the same for every data that you input. If you compare, let me uncomment this these other lines, and then we can do the comparison. Yeah, this is awesome. Now you can be able to compare the two. So if you compare this one, this one, there's a lot of words, and then the encrypted word is shorter. Is shorter, but this one, the data is it's a lot of data. This one has a lot of data, and then the encryption or the string is very long. The string becomes much longer. And then you notice the first few letters, these letters. So these letters, they represent something. And let me show you what they represent. It's the security key. They represent the security key. Yeah, this universal second factor key, UTF. Yeah. So that what they represent. So our encryption or our encrypted words, this one is not a good use for encrypting like a large chunk of data, like a large chunk of data. So you cannot be able to use it, because imagine now encrypting an entire database that has a lot of thousands and thousands of customers. Then it means that this string will be much longer and it will be hard to handle. So NASA, together with the security agency, that is I think it's the FBI and the security agency, let me just say security agency in the US, they came up with a way that they can be able to have a simpler way of encrypting data, so that you don't have like a long string, which is really hard to kind of maintain. So they came up with the hash function, and that is the secure 25 seats. Yeah. So now we can go to the second part. I hope up to there we are together. I hope we are together up to that part. If there is anybody who has a question, they can type on the chat. Okay, I'm just gonna assume we are good. So the second part is just a minute. So the second one is the hash, and normally you need to so normally what you do, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do something like I'll create a functions that generates like a password, generates password. So I'm gonna write a function here. That's a comment, generating. Generate random number, and I'm gonna create a function. Function generate random number, generate random number, which should be actually random number, and then it should be just a function without parameters. So inside here, that's where you input parameters. So it shouldn't have parameters. So, and then I'm just gonna let so let random number be random string string, and then inside the random string we should have an array, not an array, but a JSON with length. So the length of the number should be 6, kind of like the ones which are generated when you're doing the UF, the two-factor authentication, like the one you normally get, and then return number. Is one random number. So it should be numeric. It should be a numeric. There should be no letters, and then there shouldn't be any special characters. But if you are generating a password, you can use it like you can turn these ones to true. If you are generating passwords, manually for your site. Like when the user comes into or logs into your site, they are able to get the password already generated. So you can use numeric. It should be numeric. It should have special letters. You can turn them to true. So then what I'm gonna do is once I've generated the random number, I'm gonna encrypt that particular number using the secure hash 256. So I'm gonna do create another function, which is cost. Which is cost encrypt a random number. So we want to encrypt that particular random number. So if you can be able to see, I'm creating another function. So there are two ways of creating a function. So you can either use the arrow function, or you can use this normal way. Whichever way is okay. But the best thing about the arrow function is that you can be able to add a sync, like a sync and await. So you can be able to use a sync and await in your arrow function. Yeah. So then we have, yeah. So as you can see, here we have calls. Let me just add it, and then I explain the code. So we don't actually need this part, and we also don't need the async in this function because we are not awaiting anything. So this part is what I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change this part. It's gonna be dot say 56 dot encrypt random number. Let's just use the first one. Let's just use the way it was first of all before we move on to the a secure 256. Then once we have done that, now we can actually call our function here below and just say encrypt but call so we need to console that function, the first function and also the encrypted number. So these two functions. So we need to get the output for the both of them. So what we have the random number, and then we want to encrypt it using the secret key, the public and private key. So this is another way of doing that. And now I can be able to save. And we have a problem. String. So it says that random string is not should be small. Should be small. Yeah. String dot generate. Random string dot generate. So, okay. Just a few minutes. I see. I see. I see. But I want. I see. So I need to add a package known as random strings. That's why it's you're having some few issues. So I'm gonna do an add and then paste that a random string. So let me paste it for you on the chat. So I'll add the random string. Then there are some few things that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do some few changes on this. So okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change this part. Just it's supposed to be. I'm gonna call it up here first of all. So once you add a package and you want to use it on your system, you just import it there. So I've added it, and then now we should be good. Let's see if it's gonna work. Oh, the easy way is not the best way. Start and there. So we still have the problem random string generates. Yeah, let me have it here. Okay, let me save. Yeah, now we are good. So our random number, we need to change it to, we need to change some few things on our part. So the length is 6, and then this part for it should be numeric. And then I'm gonna just remove these other parts. So with that library, you are good. Yeah. So it should be numeric. Should be numeric. Yeah, it should be numeric. And now we are good now. So let me save. Yeah, there we have it now. So I wanted us to see the numbers. The numbers. So we have generated a random number here. That is the pin. Normally, like the one which is found for authentication, the one which is found for authentication. So this is what they normally do. They kind of use this function, and then they generate like a number of seats letters, which are easy to remember. And the same kind of the M-Pesa way. So M-Pesa actually uses the same thing, kind of the same thing when you are generating like your PIN. And yeah, so six numbers are easy to remember. And then we have encrypted the number. So we have encrypted the number. So what I'm gonna do, now this is a better way, because now you can be able to pass in the parameters that you want. You can be able to create a function. So these are good way, because now this function can be reused. You can reuse it. So there is something here we can maybe do to use it in another application. We can do module. Dot exports. So we can do module dot exports, encrypted number, and then we can do a comma. We can now be able to do generate random numbers, We can be able to use that. So this one you can also change if you feel like you don't want to use that function or that approach of writing methods. You can use the arrow function also for this one. It will do the same thing. So it will be basically the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to like pass the parameters, you can actually pass some few parameters here. If you want to like directory, like this, do this calls. Encrypt username. So we now have the parameter username here, and then we can be able to now like do that. So we can encrypt the username, and then we can now be able to do that. So this function can be exported, but what we're gonna do, gonna move this part. The export normally happens below. It normally happens below here. It happens below here, but in there is also another way that you can do export if you don't want to do that. If you don't want to do all of this, the export, if you want to like particularly export one function, there is another way you can do it like that. Export dot like that. Exports, actually exports, and it should work. It should also do the same thing as this one. So exports, you can be able to use it in another file or folder. Yeah. So, but for now, we're gonna just use it const, and then we're gonna it's like console it. So here we have now passed the parameter here. So the good thing is that you can even now add, instead of like what we had, because I know you guys were asking like, how do I now, like now, how do I now use these functions or this type of encryption in an application, So this is how you can be able to do. So I've basically kind of introduced functions. I've introduced functions and how you can be able to use them, how you can be able to use now these methods and libraries to now build your application, like now kind of start coming up with your application. So this one has a parameter. The other two, the first one don't have a parameter, and then you can see now you can be able to do what we call, you can use other functions inside another function. So you can call the generate method inside a function, and then you can have a function that has a parameter, and inside that parameter, instead of now repeating this private key or secret key, you just add your parameter that you want to. So this the username, this will be the username, and now you can be able to encrypt your username. So if you want your system to be encrypting user's name, you can be able to do that. So you can see we have been able to do that. So that is creating methods, and I felt like I needed to introduce methods and all functions. For people who do Python, they normally call them methods. Functions in Python are called methods. Yeah, but they basically mean the same. So if there is somebody who has a question, you can ask. Hello. Any sign of life? Hello? Okay. Okay, let me do so. Awesome. So this one, if you want to use it, let's say you want to use the function in another. So what we have been doing initially, we have been importing from the beginning. We have been importing libraries or methods from different libraries. Now you have created your own methods. You have like, we have three functions. We have generate random number. We have encrypted random number. We have encrypted username. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create another index.js. Let me just call it one, index.js1, and then I'm gonna import these functions that we have done since we have exported them. So the last one, I'm gonna export it like directly. I will export it directly. So exports directly. So you see the difference between module.exports. So it's not defined. Let me just comment that one. The save, because you're not going to use it in this part. So what I'm gonna do, if you still want to use this one, is when you don't want to use it. You don't want to use this function inside the folder that inside the file that you have typed in. So like now we can be able to use it here, but it's gonna give us some errors that like the ones you have seen. So what I've done, but these ones, if you still want to use the functions inside the same file, inside the same file. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import these functions because I've exported them. I'm gonna import them, and I'm going to use them the way they have. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do const const. Then I'm gonna use the braces, because that's how we have exported the functions here, and that's how, because it means that it's a list of functions that we have exported. So export, import encrypted. Just copy the first one and see if it's gonna generate. Yeah. So we have it's supposed to be index from index. Yeah. So we have imported them. We have imported our functions, the ones that we have exported here. And then since we have done that, now we can be able to go ahead and say generate random numbers like that. So you can just call it like that because it doesn't have any parameters. It doesn't have any parameters. But for the other one, because encrypted username, so you can actually, for easy readability, if the functions are coming from the same file, most of the time I like to add them to be on the same line of code. Yeah. Notice that this one is different from these other ones. So we can now do encrypt username. And then here we can now be able to pass in the parameter that we had. So we have the parameter. Now we can be able to pass the parameter. And this is the parameter that we had set here. So if it has two parameters, we want the users to use a different secret key, we can add it here, secret, to like paste their own secret key. And then now here, instead of passing the secret key, we just do secret key. We just do secret key. Let's add it like that, secret key. And now, now we have two parameters here. So we need also to add a key here now, because we have, yeah. So parameters are good because now these parameters will be coming from the user input. They will be coming from the user inputs. They will be coming from the user inputs. So you input your public key or basically your private key, and then the words are encrypted. Yeah, the words are encrypted. Yeah. So that's what module.exports does. You export those functions so that you can be able to use them in another file or folder, not folder but file. Other, yeah. So that's it for those for that part. So I think we can move on to the next the other part. It's gonna be basically the same. We're gonna be repeating the same random generate number, and then using the secure 256. So encrypt random numbers. So coming up with the name is encrypt. Coming up with a variable name or a function name is really hard. And you want them to have consistency, like you want them to generally have a meaning to the other programmer who will be reading your code. So, and we have calls. Number, then we have generate random number. Then we have encrypt now. So awesome. So now we can be able to encrypt it directly, and then we can do the return. So it's supposed to return. So every time you hit this function, or every time you run this function, it's supposed to return the encrypted number. So I can comment it. I can comment the same that we had done in the, so that we are able to see what we have. Yeah. So we can be able now to get our function, and then this function now will be able to run, and we'll be able to see the hash function. So yeah. This one is still, there is something which is still to, the console log. Yeah, this one should comment it also. So yeah, now you can be able to see what we have now. So if you can take a look at it, you can see that we have numbers. We have numbers, the ones that I was talking about, UTF-8 and async, AC, AES, and 256 and heads up. Basically, this one is, I think this one is a heads up of 32. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stringify the output so that we are able to see dot to string, so that we have a good number, a good output. Yeah. So this is the output now that we have. So these numbers are different. So the numbers are generated differently. So the numbers are generated differently because of the what I told you, they are always generating the numbers randomly so that you have different numbers for two-factor authentication. And then now we are doing it, we are encrypting it using the 256. So I'm not gonna decrypt it because it's really hard to decrypt it. It's really hard to decrypt it. It's hard to decrypt this one. Now notice, even if we do some changes onto this, we're gonna use, let's see. We're gonna encrypt the word, the username, so that we have parameters, encrypt usernames. Here we want to use the same thing. Yeah. And yeah, to avoid actually it's good practice not to add this into a function. So we need to add to string here. So this is the perfect place to add to string. That is the perfect place to add it to string there, and then to string there. And then now we can be able to do this. Now notice this one has a parameter, and the parameter is the username. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna console it, log console log it again. Then I'm gonna add a bigger number, like gonna add okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add like a long text. This one, remember the generated number is AL6 numbers, AL6 letters. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this is 17, including the spaces, and you will be able to see the difference, like the difference in output. It's the same if you compare with the other ones. So they are the same. So if I copy this one, let me copy this one so that we are able to see the length here. So regardless of the letters, regardless of the size of the letter, secure hash algorithm outputs the same chunk of data, like the same size of encryption. So even if we have a long PDF with a lot of words, the output will be the same. Even if we have a small number that is generated, like number 1, we'll still have the same. Size of encryption. So whether it's one letter or millions and billions of letters, will still have the same size of size of encrypted or encrypted output. So this is what I was talking about, the avalanche effect. Yeah. So this is awesome. It's actually very cool. Like this one is manageable. So you can be able to carry like a lot of, like a PDF with thousands and thousands of pages with secure hash algorithm. And this is how the blockchain works. So you can imagine all those transactions that have been made on the blockchain are only represented by this one string. Yeah. So it's really awesome. Yeah. So then the other part that I want now us to move is to, so we have covered the hash or the secure 256, and then now I want to go to the by P 39, the Bitcoin improvement proposal, number 39. So what we're gonna do, the same. I hope Dylan, I answered your question, because I never went back to like asking him whether the question has been answered.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So the other part is now the bit by P39. So we have BIP. It's supposed to be small. P39. Yeah, require. Yeah, so this one is the Bitcoin improvement proposal that generates the recovery phrase and the seed phrase, the ones you normally have in your wallets. And yeah, that's what you're gonna do below here. So we have actually done a lot of stuff. So you can go out and try and do encryption with 512 and see the output. You can just play with all those algorithms and see the kind of output they do output. And the reason why they are preferred to different environment and where they are basically used. Yeah. So we're gonna have minutes. Yeah. So we're gonna do the I don't want to say that word, phrase, recovery phrase. Yeah. So we're gonna generate the words, generate phrase words. Don't want to use, let's see what it gives us. Okay. Yeah, so I didn't want to use a function, but it's the same. Right now we can be able, we can now be, I don't know whether you guys are comfortable us doing functions or it's becoming more complicated. Hello, Garrison. Is it Gary? Yeah. So somebody kindly at least type on the chat and say whether if they are comfortable using the yeah, it's good. Actually, it's better we use the functions. So we have the recovery phrase. We can now be able to generate them. We can now be able to generate them, and we're gonna do the same thing we were doing. Console login, the recovery phrase. So let's do that. We have a problem. Unexpected identifier. Oh, supposed to be small. So some of these things happens. Humans see things the same way. So I was thinking that the cons is the same with all these other. So yeah. So now we can be able to save and see the phrase that has been generated. Yeah. So here we have our phrase. We have broccoli, inform, and romance. So these are the phrase that you normally save or you normally save on your on your phones when you are creating a wallet. So let me show you one wallet. Let's see. I'm actually not going to create like this for demo purposes. This one is for demo purposes. Don't screenshot the wallet because I'm not going to use the wallet. I'm not going to use this wallet because this one is for demo purposes. So I think I can do. Yeah, So these are the words that I'm talking about. So these words, this is how you generate them. So this is how you generate them. So you generate them this way. Then now these words they become your private key. They become your private key. How you can be able to send your transactions and be able to authenticate transactions in your mobile in your wallet, that is, whether it's the Varora wallet or the MetaMask wallet, you can be able to do that. Yeah. So these words, I'm actually not going to continue from here, because now this wallet is compromised. Yeah. So yeah. So these ones, once you have been able to generate them, you can be able to get the entropy of the phrase word. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna continue with the same, and I'm gonna get the entropy of the 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 words. So by default, this one was generate. So this one was so I'm doing this because later on I'm gonna post this code into I'm gonna paste like I'm gonna upload the code in the to GitHub, so that you are able to like follow along with what I've written. So during your free time, you can be able to go through the code and then try and see what I was doing. Yeah. So then this for entropy, and yeah. So we're gonna do const generate mnemonic phrase in header, and yeah. So yeah, it's 120, 128. The one that I was telling you about, the UTF-8 and all the others, and then the word list should be in English. So here you can change to JP. Is it JP? Short form for Japan. But I'm gonna use this one. So let's go back to the npm manager, and then we see IP A9 and see the yeah. So we have Japanese, Spanish, Italian, French, Korea, CTEC, Czech, yeah, and Chinese, and yeah. So this is the word list. So if you want to like generate word list in English or in Japanese for different users, if you're developing, yeah, you can also be able to change the key. So you can The key for? I don't get you callings. Like you cannot use the key. On which part? On which part? On which part can I not change the key? For my wallet, I cannot change the key. I cannot like change the key. I cannot change the key because that is my private. It was supposed to be my private key, but since you guys have been able to see, and once I maybe I if I yeah. So I cannot change the key. I cannot be able to change the private key for my wallet. So if anybody gets hold of my private key, uh, uh, I'm finished. So yeah. So yeah. So this is the header that I was talking about, and yeah. So let's do that, and we console log the last bit. So the generated header. And then we can be able to compare. So this one for random number, I can now kind of comment it because I can comment these two now because we are not using them now. So that we have a clean output. So we have another problem in entropy function. So length is full of function, length is it. So 145, 145. Oh, it's not. It's not. Let's just that should be entropy. Should be like this entropy. To yeah, to that. And then let's just first of all do let's first of all do the changing of the zeros to word list. This one. So what I'm going to do. Yeah, so I'm gonna convert this one like that to like this zeros into words, and then I'm gonna create another function to change the first words to is it the first words to entropy to, okay. And then the words into entropy. Yeah. Words. Not generate, but header. Yeah. So this is the header that I'm talking about. So this is the header I'm talking about. And what I want to do, or what I intend to do is, this one will be to word list. So phrase to word list, to word list. And then to header. Yeah. So that one will remove. Yeah. So this will be the header. So this should be the word list, but it changes. Yeah. And then, so this one is word list. Yeah, word list with it. So this will be, yeah. Yeah. See if it's gonna work. So we have the first one, and then we have the second one, which is supposed to be this one, this one that we have generated to the first line which we have generated. Pardon to, yeah. So what we can do, we can actually call the first function. Yeah. Let's first of all console log it, and then we change some bits. Oh, I had already called this, so I'm not sure why I'm doing that. I'm repeating myself. Yeah, so we have the header now. The header to word list. So we can see, you can see abandon, about, and then which is 0, 0. So what I want to do, I'm gonna comment this part, the first part, the second part, and then I will convert the knock knock to the generated phrase. Yeah. This one, I'm gonna comment this part. And then yeah, that will be okay. So we'll do first. Yeah, and then we pass it here now. So like that. So the one we have generated, the phrase that we have generated up here, this one will be now be converted to header, will be converted into header. Normally it's supposed to, Ethereum has a way of identifying it. It starts with 0, 0 So for Ethereum, it starts with 0 and yeah. So they add the kind of like the UTF. Yeah, start with 0 actually. It's not the 0 So if you go to Etherscan, you go to etherscan.io or even Celo Explorer, you'll be able to see that this is the 0 that I'm talking about. So 0 So most of the transactions and most of the numbers in Ethereum, they have added a default 0 here. Then that is 0 public key, 0 for contract. Yeah. But normally the encryption starts from here. The encryption starts from here, or the header starts from there. Yeah. Let's go back. So I'm just gonna remove that bit. And then now we can be able to learn this part and see the generated word here being converted back to the recovery phrase. So that's the only thing that you can do to that. So you can be able to change the phrase words to header and header to phrase word. Yeah. So let me save and yeah. So you see, now we have, since our phrase word is a little bit bigger, we now have we have this one. So now we have the 12 words. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then we have been able to convert it into a header. So this the awesome thing about BIP 39. Yeah. So that actually concludes our lessons, all our lesson for today. So we have actually covered a lot. We have done functions. We have done exports, and we have actually done a lot. Done a lot. So I've done introduction to function. I've done the encryption. I've also done exporting and using the functions, setting parameters. Yeah. So this is awesome. So yeah. So any question up to there? Do we have? Is there anybody who has a question? Yes, Diram. I hope I didn't lose you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm saying when generating the recovery phrase,
yeah,
how random is it? Is there a point where like two users or some users can have one common word? Like let's say the one which is here, for example, poem. How random is it? Is there a possibility of some users getting one of those words?
The same word in the same word. I think there is a possibility for getting the like one word which is similar, but the positioning of it is different. the positioning of the word will be different. The positioning of the word will be different. So if we have a poem here, then we can have another poem here. But then again, remember, the more words we have, the more words we have for generating the recovery phrase, the better it becomes. The better it becomes. So the language that we speak, the UK or the English itself has a lot of words, and later on there are words which will be added. So there are other ones which can be added so that you have like a list of many words. So many words. So as you can see, if I make a change, let's go here. If I make a change here, if remember the first one was abandon, about. Let me first of all comment this one. So you see now it has changed to a burger. So it have changed to a burger. If I add another thing, something else here, like another F, it has changed to ability yellow. So you can be able to see like different letters represent. You can have we have the same kind of the same figure, like the same character representing. So what you can think about it is like this particular F has like a list of all the words which can be the last probability here. Yeah, which can be the last probability here. So we were thinking that if we add another F, we'll still have the word burger, but we have pizza. It has been changed. So that particular F has a lot of other list of words, and then the second F also have a list of words. So if we add another F here, we'll have a different word which has been generated, advanced yard. So we can try and add an F here. And then you can see we have ability, theme, abandon, advanced, youth. So yeah, I guess you get the point.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is there any other question? So it's really amazing when you start working with BIP 39, and yeah. So anybody else who has a question? Anybody who we lost in space? Is there anybody who was lost in space? Rachel? Ambrose?
No question from me.
Oh, okay, okay. Ambrose, do you have any question?
Yeah, you exported the functions.
Yeah.
So when you go to the other file, do you just import or they are available for use?
You import. Now you have to import the same thing we did with the every time you want to use something on another file, you will have to import them. You will have to import the file. So
Okay.
I imported it, so you can see I imported it from index.js, and then my file is called index.js. So in fact, I can change this one to I can rename this one to maybe the app itself, app.js. And then this one we can rename it to utilities, utils. Yeah, can change it to utils. And then we change our so we change our utils. Say yes. So then we can now change this one to app.js. Okay, let me restart the server. So this one now, the reason why I've named it like this is that most of the cases you find that these are like utilities. It's utilities that you can randomly use in different files and folders, different files, I mean. So if you're using them for different files, then you need to call them utils or utilities because you're gonna be able to import them here. Put these functions into the app.js. And then if we do the learning again, if we do learn again, our application should work. So it shouldn't be different. It should actually be different. So we don't have Encrypt. We only have it. Yeah. So we have a problem on it. So it's not a function. Then I can. Yeah. Yeah. So. So there we have it, pardon. So this one is working now, but we haven't console logged it. So best way to do it is to actually console log it so that we can be able to see. So the reason why we are seeing this is because we have imported utils. So the app.js or index.js for your cases, if you are using index.js, it's the entry point. So this is the entry point for our application. So whenever we learn app.js, we trigger all the imports that we have done into the this particular files. So we can actually bring it back the way it was. Like that. And now we can have it now. So we have the list now. So we have the encryption of this particular function. So that's how you do the imports. That's how you do imports. That's how you do imports, and that's why we create. There are functions that we create now. Later on in the program or in the course, we'll have what we call MVC. We'll use something known as MVC. So MVC is module views and controllers. So controllers is where all your logic goes in, and then your view is what your user are able to interact with. So this is what we are interacting with in app.js. And then we have model. Model is the schema of your database. That is the user schema, the admin schema, the transaction schema, such. Yeah. So yeah. So this is just the beginning. We're gonna be doing a lot, and yeah. So that's it. So that's it from me, and yeah. Anybody else who has a question, so that we can call it.
Very good. It's called.
Yes. Was that Collins?
Hi.
Hi. Have I answered your
Yes.
questions?
No. I just wanted to, because I missed the other session. Where can I get the? I mean, just to follow up on what I've missed for the previous sessions.
Okay, I'm gonna send you the link for both today's session and also for the previous one. So yeah, they are on
Okay,
YouTube.
and maybe the GitHub as well.
The GitHub, yeah, I'm gonna also upload the entire all the files onto GitHub. I'm gonna share them with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it from. If there is no other question, I think we can stop from there, so that I can also be able to. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining, and have a good evening and enjoy the rest. Yeah, a good evening. Enjoy.